The Ship of Fools, Episode 105. Where there's smoke, there's Snipes. The Shadow Quest drifted into orbit above Parelia 8, a lush, temperate world famous for its forests, waterfalls, and, oddly, its extremely enthusiastic volunteer fire department. The planet's atmosphere shimmered with humidity, and the scent of pine and wildflowers drifted up even through the landing pad vents. Snipes stood at the viewport, staring at his datapad with the intensity of a man discovering a new religion. "Did you know," he announced loudly, "that statistically, most women are attracted to firefighters?" Moxie didn't look up from her console. "Snipes, statistically, most women are attracted to men who don't set things on fire." Snipes waved her off. "Details." Aurora flickered beside him. "Snipes, your history with open flames is concerning." Snipes puffed out his chest. "Which is why I'm turning over a new leaf. A heroic leaf. A leaf that rescues kittens from trees and poses shirtless for calendars." Banning sighed. "Snipes, what are you planning?" Snipes grinned. "I'm joining the Parelia 8 Volunteer Fire Department." Moxie groaned. "Oh, no." Aurora dimmed. "Statistically, this will end in disaster." Snipes saluted. "Disaster is just success with extra steps." The Parelia 8 Volunteer Fire Department was a cheerful red building with a bell tower, flower boxes, and a giant mural of a smiling fire crew rescuing a baby space goat. The air smelled of soap, pine, and fresh bread from the bakery across the street. Snipes strutted inside wearing a brand new fire helmet, suspenders, and boots 2 sizes too big. "Greetings, fellow heroes," he declared. The fire chief, a burly alien with a mustache that could block plasma fire, stared at him. "You the new volunteer?" Snipes saluted. "Deputy Marshal Snipes, reporting for duty." The chief blinked. "We don't have deputy marshals." Snipes winked. "You do now." The chief sighed. "Fine. Grab a hose." Snipes grabbed a hose. It immediately sprayed him in the face. The chief sighed harder. The alarm bell rang. "Warehouse fire in Sector 4!" the chief shouted. Snipes leapt onto the fire truck, nearly falling off twice before Moxie grabbed him by the collar. "Why are you here?" Snipes asked. "To keep you alive," Moxie said. "And to keep the planet alive," Aurora added. The fire truck roared through the streets, sirens blaring, pedestrians scattered, birds flew away. Snipes stood proudly on the back platform, waving at the confused civilians. They arrived at a small warehouse fire, barely a campfire's worth of flame. Snipes jumped off the truck, grabbed the hose, and shouted, "Stand back! I've got this!" He turned the valve. The hose whipped around like a furious serpent, smacking Snipes in the face, wrapping around his legs, and launching him into a garbage dumpster. The hose then sprayed the fire truck, the chief, and a crowd of onlookers. The tiny fire went out. The chief glared. "You're a menace!" Snipes spat garbage out of his mouth. "A heroic menace!" The next call came from a bakery. Snipes burst through the door, shouting, "Fear not! I am here!" The baker pointed at a small oven fire. "It's just the pilot light!" Snipes blasted the oven with foam, then the counter, then the ceiling, then the baker. The foam expanded, filling the room like a rising tide. Aurora flickered. "Snipes, you have created a structural hazard." Snipes grinned. "I put out the fire," Moxie pointed. "You also put out the bakery." The chief arrived, surveyed the foam-filled disaster, and muttered, "I'm going to lose my pension." Back at the firehouse, an alarm chimed, and the chief glanced at the console. "Cat stuck in a tree. Easy call. Snipes, stay here." Too late. Snipes was already sprinting toward the fire truck, helmet backward, axe in hand. Moxie groaned. "Oh no, not the axe." They arrived in a quiet grove where a frantic woman pointed up at a tall Pyralian oak. "My baby's stuck!" Snipes puffed out his chest. "Fear not. I shall rescue your child." Moxie squinted. "Snipes, that's a cat." Snipes ignored her, marched to the tree, and raised his axe. The woman screamed, "Don't hurt the—" Chonk! Snipes swung again. Chonk! Aurora flickered. "Snipes, you are destabilizing the tree." "One more!" Snipes shouted. The tree cracked, tilted, and toppled over in a dramatic crash, narrowly missing the fire truck. The cat hopped off calmly and walked away. Snipes planted his boot on the fallen trunk. "Rescue complete." The woman stared at the stump in horror. "You destroyed my 1,000-year-old tree?" Moxie muttered. "He's a one-man natural disaster." Aurora added, "Statistically, this was predictable." Snipes beamed. "Another heroic success." The chief arrived, took one look, and groaned into his hands. "Snipes, it was a cat in a tree." Snipes shrugged. "Not anymore." Before the chief could respond, another call blared over the radio. A wildfire had broken out in the northern forest, flames leaping between trees like hungry beasts. Smoke curled into the sky, and the heat shimmered across the ground. As the crew rushed toward the call, Moxie shot Snipes a warning glare. "Snipes, whatever you do, do not touch anything sharp this time." Snipes scoffed. "Please, I learned my lesson." Aurora flickered. "Statistically, you did not." Snipes waved her off. "Come on, that tree was asking for it." Moxie nearly tripped. "The tree was asking for it?" Snipes nodded confidently. "It was holding that cat hostage." Aurora replied, "The cat was sleeping and walked away unharmed. The tree did not." Banning, overhearing, muttered over comms, "I still can't believe you cut down an entire alien oak tree to rescue a 6-pound animal." Snipes puffed out his chest. "And I'd do it again. All life is precious." Moxie groaned. "That's what we're afraid of." At the scene, the fire crew sprang into action. Snipes leapt from the truck, grabbed a shovel, and shouted, "I'll dig a fire break." He swung the shovel. He hit a beehive. The bees swarmed. Snipes screamed and ran in circles, flailing wildly, knocking over equipment, tripping over hoses, and accidentally opening a fuel valve on a fire truck. The fuel spilled. The fuel ignited. A new fire erupted. The chief screamed, "Snipes!" Snipes screamed, "Bees!" Aurora projected a shield around him. "Snipes, you are statistically the worst firefighter in recorded history." Snipes was out of breath. "But you have to admit, I look good while doing it," he said. Moxie sprayed him with a hose. "No, you don't." By sunset, the firehouse was a war zone. Snipes had flooded the garage, set off the sprinkler system, accidentally glued his hands to a fire truck, and somehow set a wet mop on fire. The chief stood before him, trembling with rage. "Snipes," he said, "you are hereby declared an official fire hazard." Snipes blinked. "Is that a rank? Am I being promoted?" "No!" the chief roared. "It's a ban! You are permanently exiled from Parelia 8. Snipes gasped. "But what about the calendar?" The chief threw a glossy calendar at him. Snipes caught it. He flipped to his page. He was October. A pumpkin jack-o'-lantern was where his head should have been. He was holding a fire extinguisher backwards. Moxie peered over his shoulder. "October, huh? The Halloween month." Snipes groaned. "I was supposed to be July." Aurora flickered. "Statistically, this is the correct placement." While Snipes sat quietly sulking in his chair, attempting to affix a cutout image of his own face over the pumpkin featured in the firefighter calendar, Aurora illuminated nearby. "Snipes," she said, "you have an incoming message from Parelia 8. Snipes perked up. "Maybe they want to apologize for banning me." Aurora projected the message. It was a bill. For a tree, a bakery, 2 fire trucks and the fire chief's therapy. Snipes groaned. "Oh, come on, that tree was asking for it." Moxie smirked. "Snipes, the cat walked away. The tree didn't." Banning added, "You're the only firefighter in history who rescued a cat by destroying its entire ecosystem." Snipes crossed his arms. "I saved the cat." Aurora replied, "Statistically, the cat saved itself." Snipes slumped. "I hate that tree." Moxie grinned. "The tree hates you back." Aboard the Shadow Quest, Snipes stepped onto the command deck, still wearing his battered, soot-stained fire helmet. Banning shook his head. "Snipes, I hope you learned your lesson." Snipes sighed dramatically. "I was too heroic for them." Moxie snorted. "You were too flammable." Aurora added, "You are now banned from an entire planet." Snipes groaned and buried his face in his hands. The Shadow Quest jumped to warp, leaving behind a planet that would forever remember Snipes as the only firefighter who could start more fires than he put out. End of episode 105. The missions of the Shadow Quest, the Ship of Fools, will continue.